But I need to hear it. No, mate. Oh, mate. I'm going to have to wing it. I'm going to have to wing it, mate. I can't hear it. I need your headphones. I need your headphones. Give me a...
I can't need to hear it then.
Okay. Okay, 105. We're going full intro, yeah? With that audio. Yeah, but I need to hear it, mate. Okay, I'm full screen. Can we put it back to the airport? Because I just want to. Hey, folks. Good evening. We've got quite a lot of stuff to get through tonight, and that one little thing I can't hear myself, so I need to completely wing this. It's 2:05, Jilly. So stand by. Just going to show you across the airfield, folks. Got a few little extras here. Okay. We've got the TriStar up on the roof. And lovely old BOAC exhibit there. Everything all right? The fire engines have arrived. We're all good on that. The fire engines have arrived. A little bit of maintenance going on. Qatar Dreamliner had an engine replacement, believe it or not. The Antonov is in, the 124, and BA's 380 is in. And are you hearing the engine? The right? Okay, stand by. Cold start. We're going to get the thing going. Is it going? Is it going? Is it going? Okay, stand by. Here we go. Okay, stand by. Flaps. Yeah, flaps. Check on rudders and things like that. But yeah, I can't hear myself. This is not good, but we'll have to sort it out for the show. Okay. So stand by for launch. Here we go. Now. Is it launched?
You've launched.
Tell me when I can come off the throttle, Jill. It should start.
Yeah, you go.
Oh, okay. Hey folks, how you doing? It's a good job that I can't hear myself now because I'd be blah blah blah. Everything okay? Are we all happy? Jilly, my co-pilot. Steve was supposed to be on duty today, but he's off again. These guys are just they're pretty lame when it comes to turning up. Bit like a few people I know. But anyway, there we go. You all right? Okay, GP's the co-pilot. We are about 10 miles up. We're supposed to be going full screen now, GP. I've just shown them the airport and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to kick the show off. Or should we? Hold on a minute. Just wait a minute. Let me, because now there's nothing else going on. There's nothing else in the background, Jelly. So now let me run through the airport because I was all a little bit sort of like hyper then. Right. Okay, folks. So what I'd like to do is do this. There we go. Okay, so airport. And the reason why I'm showing this, folks, is because we put a lot of work into it, and ARD, God bless them, have really helped out with this. And it's a labour of love, I've got to say. I mean, really, the last time I did anything like this was when I was a kid, really. So, we're all big kids at heart. So throughout the airport, we've got that lovely old Air Florida DC-10. Does the rounds, of course. FedEx still going on with their engine contracts. There's a lot of those Trent 700s, and I know people wouldn't ship them with the cows on. We know that. Poetic license, let it roll. We had an official in last week from one of the engine or one of the cargo companies. Like we wouldn't ship them with their cows on, which is completely understandable. But we're sort of like a little bit of poetic license. You can't really see it there. That's Qatar's Retro 777, which was over on one of the other stands last time we were here. KLM 787-10 pushing back. Very nice indeed. See the tug pushing him? Look, see the tug pushing him there? Pretty good in it. Yeah, pushing him at the right angle as well. Any tug operators out there who can confirm that that's sort of like off the centre line as he comes back on that line, if you see what I mean. BA 380. I'm trying to see what I can do about getting a top deck, but the scale doesn't really work. I think the manufacturers need to scale down the walkways a little bit, possibly the air bridges, just so we can get a double deck on there. ETA's 350 over the other side. Looking pretty good. The 339 was in earlier on. That's the A406 up the back there, by the way, folks. The roadway. It is actually also coupled with an inner road, which is the perimeter, inner perimeter road. You can see the ramp there on the left hand side. Coletta's jet is in and doing its normal thing. 767. She carries a decent amount of freight, great freight platform, the 767, and one that Boeing is still continuing to make, which is a good thing, I have to say. It is a shame, however, that, and this is something that we discussed quite lengthily in Miami, was the 757 against the A321 in terms of, the 737 versus versus the 757, in why didn't Boeing? A lot of people say that they sort of like shot themselves in the foot with taking the 757 out of service. I would have said it was a much better sort of like, it's got much more opportunity with that platform than maybe the 767. But anyway, it is what's Boeing have made that decision. The fire station, like I said, has arrived. We've rescaled it. As you can see, 727. They're having a little fire test over there with the 727 platform. Difficult to get the smoke, folks. Difficult to get the smoke. But and then over to the right there, we've got our little museum and the Giant's house. I don't know what I'm going to do with that beautiful old Hawaiian TriStar at this point. It's a bit kind of on the same sort of level as what they've done at the Corendon Hotel with the 747, but I kind of like that old what is it? I had it, didn't I? On a minute. Let's just have a look. It was on here, wasn't it? I got it on here. It's the old Strata Cruiser, is it? It's the Strata Cruiser. BIC Strato Cruiser. I think that's the first aircraft that BIC operated, other than, of course, the water boats, the big Sunderland flying boats and stuff like that. Even other type, I think, but using them on the water initially. But that's how it all started. But anyway, we're going to sort of like get on with the show, because otherwise I'm going to tend to waffle and you lot are going to want to go to bed. Who have we got in the house today? I know that I saw Ben in earlier on as well, which is a good thing, because I'm going to try and make sure that I look at the comments this time around, because I think it's only fair. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move that onto there for now, because I'm a bit big in there, aren't I? I don't know. What maybe what we could do, Julie, is that's going to be the main screen, yeah, for the playouts. Or are we going to go full screen? We're going to go full screen, aren't we? Okay. No. Anyway, here we go.
No.
Oh, he's had to go. Ben's had to go. Oh, we can play it out in that one, can we? With me and the little. Are you serious? I didn't know we could do that. Yeah. Okay, that's cool. Daryl is here, along with Paul Skilling, Deborah Sherwood, Anthony Teal, all the usual crew. Hopefully, see some new members in there tonight and get involved with the chat as well. Ashton Pope is a new member. Welcome, Ashton. What a great thing to have somebody joining on a. He's a returning member. I thought I recognised the name. Anyway, Jeffrey Kirk, the Max 9s are coming back because it looks like it was a maintenance issue that led to the plug failure, not a design. It was never really a design issue. You could say that because of the bolts themselves, but it appears that the 4 bolts that were holding those other bolts into the door assembly, that whole piece, apparently it was those 4 bolts that were loose on other aircraft that they checked. So still coming out. United and Alaskan have now obviously been able to start putting their aircraft back into service. That's a good thing for Boeing. That's a good thing for Alaskan. They're not happy. United are really unhappy about the whole incident because of the amount of money that they've lost and will continue to lose, of course. And also, I've heard that Boeing have also put a stop. The Federal Aviation Authority have put a stop on the continuing production in terms of new aircraft. I think the Max 10 might be put on hold at this point, but there's going to be obviously a lot of stringent checks that are going to be implemented, both at Spirit and also at Boeing as well, because they're obviously going to sort of like, you know, get a bit locked in battle on in terms of the whole whose fault it is thing. But from what I'm seeing, apparently, or what I'm hearing, was that apparently some of the mechanics removed the door for some reason, and when they put it back, whether it was, we could go on about that all night long, really, and we don't really want to, because that was on my phone to say, well, the Max 9 issue is what it is, and it's just going to be an ongoing story and something that we will just monitor over time. So, GP, should we get on with the show? So, things to talk about, folks. Just one last thing, and that is obviously that the FAA have advised operators of the 737-900, the non-MAX aircraft, because we also spotted a few of those in Miami as well. Never had an incident with the Max 9 plug door, by the way, folks. So it's obviously, never had a problem with the 737-900 ER as opposed to the Max 9. My apologies if I just said that wrong. But no problems with the 900 ER ever in terms of plug door issues. In fact, I think it's a very safe platform. I can't actually recall any major issues with it. Okay, so here's something that we discussed when we were in Toulouse. If you were with us in Toulouse, premium member, first class members, and super class members were all with us in Toulouse. We got quite a lot of good stuff while we were down there. And one of the things that was right opposite us, which you couldn't miss, and of course became every time I put the camera on it, it became the main point focus of discussion, and that was Air India's new livery. And we're going to have a look at that now. And there you go. Now, I saw Air India's 777-300, I think, today in at Heathrow. Exactly the same livery as the one below, the 321 there that you're seeing. The new livery, that's on a 321. We saw them obviously on the A350s. It's mixed opinion, I've got to be honest with you, folks. And in a funny sort of way, Julie, now you're looking at it from the side, it works a little bit better than it did from right behind, because when we saw it from, or sort of like at an angle, we saw it and we couldn't really catch it in all its glory, so to speak. And now the livery on the tail kind of makes sense, doesn't it, in a funny sort of way? Because before it looked odd from an angle. So I'm going to kind of change my opinion on that, wouldn't you say? I do still love the old one. I've got to be honest with you. That's not the sunburst I called it. It's a particular Indian something to do with their culture, obviously, which is really nice. And I'm sure that the tail livery is something to do with their culture. I initially, thought of it as a box of chocolates, but now the sort of like the sculpting of it, it's looking okay. It's just a shame about the windows, isn't it? Something could be done with the windows, maybe. I don't know, but because it's difficult to pull away from the old one when you see all that beautiful styling around the windows and that little cheat line underneath it. I really like it. It's kind of the Lufthansa thing for me. I'm going to accept the Air India. The Lufthansa thing for me was that the new livery looks like he's gone out and he's had to get ready for an interview and put his tie on and his smart jacket and shirt and all that kind of thing. Whereas the old livery is very retro style, big flares and, lovely yellow crane on it and all that kind of thing. So whilst those old Air India jets, well, I say old Air India jets, we saw 2 A320neos and more to be produced in that old livery. Reason for that being, I believe, I'm guessing that in time, the new 320 Neos will come with the new livery, because apparently Air India is saying that over time all aircraft will be repainted. But obviously these are brand new ones, fresh off the line. It's likely that we're still going to see a few of those old school ones flying around for a little bit. So there you go, folks. What are we thinking? Anyone else? No. Not the bottom paint treatment. The new one, I like the bottom treatment. It didn't look anything like that, so must have been at a funny angle. I do like the design underneath, though. Deborah Sherwood saying, yeah, there you go. What shape is that supposed to be on the new Air India tail? I've absolutely no idea. I'm sure someone will tell us. Hold on. The new tail has a Taj Mahal vibe to it. Okay, somebody saying that. These comments are going quite quick, Julie. I'm struggling to, and they sort of like jumping. So okay. I like the new Air India livery, however, and that was Daryl Nichols.
Click the comment you're reading so it comes up on screen.
Whoa. Okay, there we go. I like the new Air India livery. However, I was curious about their 320 Neos was in the old livery and their 350 was in the new one at the same time at Toulouse the other day. Yeah, Daryl, we just actually mentioned that about the fact that I believe, and this is only because of the 350s becoming available, and I believe that they were maybe... somebody who didn't take up their orders, let's put it that way. So possibly Aeroflot, so because they'll obviously, they may well have put those orders in quite recently, whereas normally it takes 6 to 7 years if it's a full build right from the get-go. So the chances are that those Neos that we saw in Toulouse are in that scheme, because the whole deal was done with a new livery after they had been committed to paint. So that's the whole reason. And it probably would have cost them more money to, I don't know, actually. Yeah. But anyway, it is what it is. So over time, I'm imagining new sets of Air India jets will come about. And don't forget that the empennage is manufactured, the back end of the aircraft is manufactured in Spain, and the rudder and the tail plane all come pre-painted. So there's something maybe in that part of it, I don't know as well. That's interesting. Cat Weasel, let's face it, older av geeks will for the majority always lean towards the old scheme. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Air India want to change their visual, don't they? Chris Rohit Parkel, the tail is the top part of the old window design. The tail is top of the old window. Look closely. There are 3 windows in red, gold, and aubergine. Oh, okay. The tail is the top part of the old window design. I've gotcha. And that was called something, wasn't it? Interesting. Thank you. So the old windows have that red, gold, and aubergine. So that works exactly. And yeah, I don't know if that's the the 320 Neo, the lower one, is actually the older one, or the most recent one, because of the Air India written down on the tail, I believe. Just Google Jill Baxter, the new logo called the Vista. We talked about that, inspired by the peak of the gold window frame. There we go. What Rohit was just saying, signifying limitless possibilities, progressiveness, and the airline's bold, confident outlook. Can't say fairer than that. Thanks, Jill. Okay, so next thing. This is something that we heard, and I can't remember who said it on the show in Toulouse, and that was that Air Belgium are apparently retiring their A339s. Get this. This is sort of crazy news. Let me just have a little read here, and this is simple flying. Folks, some people have their feelings about simple flying, but let's use them as a good source. And these are just the basic notes. Air Belgium to retire its Airbus A330neo fleet. Air Belgium plans to retire its fleet of 2 Airbus A330neo aircraft, which they have been very, very They've had a big marketing campaign on this beautiful new aircraft, they called it. We've seen it a couple of times when we were in Belgium, and it's a great looking aircraft. But the second note that comes into force here, and this is something that actually Gilly mentioned while we were talking about it. It says the airline faces operational constraints and financial difficulties with debts and delayed passenger refunds. So, question is, and this is Sichuan Airlines, the parent company, may no longer be investing in Air Belgium. That's not a good thing, it has to be said. And my concern is that, is this a kind of like Qatar-esque type thing that Air Belgium are going after Airbus with, even though it's an issue with the engines. Apparently, they found pieces, shreds of metal, I believe, inside the engine. And back in last summer, has been grounded. An incident occurred back last summer on August the 21st, 2023. The aircraft was en route from Brussels to Joburg, but had to divert back to Belgium capital due to a hydraulic pump failure in flight. Upon landing, metal debris was found in the engine. The aircraft has remained inactive ever since. Interesting, because you would have thought that Rolls-Royce would come in, take that engine off, go and inspect it, or at least do an inspection, an on-wing inspection with it, and see what's going on there. So I don't know how far that's got, but it does sort of like it's a little bit dodgy in terms of the fact that Air Belgium are going through these financial issues, that they're sort of like maybe using this as an excuse, whereas Rolls-Royce may be saying, well, you know, there's just if there's filings in there, we need to inspect it. Let's do a boroscope injection at least. Rolls-Royce said it was not engine related. Right, well, there we go then. So that's a hydraulic pump issue of some sort, because they said a hydraulic issue. And if they found filings in the iron filings or whatever it is in the engine combustor, it must be, I'm guessing, in the catch trays or something like that, and I don't know, wherever. I don't know if there is such a thing, but well, that's an interesting one, isn't it? If it's not Rolls-Royce's issue, then it's the pump manufacturer, the hydraulic pump manufacturer, or hydraulic systems manufacturer. So yeah, we'll have to see what happens with that. But that's two A339s, which, I'll be honest with you, if Air Belgium want to get rid of them, I'm guessing that they'll easily find a buyer or a lease company that will take them off of them. But I'd imagine they're from a lease company. They wouldn't have bought the two aircraft. They're probably leased. So back to the lease company they go. And I'm guessing that the lease company, with Delta operating so many of them, TAP, amongst others, Virgin Atlantic, and so many others. It's a very popular platform. Some people call it the sort of like, you know, the Ford Escort of the A350 range, if you see what I mean. You know, like the cheap man's A350, but it certainly isn't. It is literally a replacement jet for the very profitable and successful A330 passenger jet, not the freighter, the all-up freighter that Airbus manufactured, sort of like sweep that underneath the carpet and forget about it, sort of thing. And we'll move on to the A350 freighter, which we're coming on to in a minute. But yeah, we'll just have to see. Any other interesting ones there, Gilly? I'm right at the top of the comments. I'd have to zip all the way down. Are you keeping an eye? Yeah. The new one looks more appealing to a global market, and why it's moved away from the more traditional design. Oh, still talking about read this morning, the EASA is also extending inspections of A320 and 321 models for wing cracks on models with the shark clip modifications. Lance D. Atlanta. Okay, let's just one more time. Read this morning, the EASA is also extending inspection on 320 and 321 models for wing cracks. So that will be the CEO variants, I'd imagine, because obviously shark clip modifications. Now, that is kind of the hybrid 320, isn't it? With the CEO engine, the IAE V2500, which we're coming on to in a minute, funny enough. That's where was I with that one? Sorry. Because I was talking.
Don't worry, sorry.
Okay. Well, no, we were talking about the new one. Looks more appealing than Global and West Move. Okay, so mate, I lost track. I was going so well as well. Oh, okay.
Do you want Nancy's comment back?
320s, the shark clip.
Yes.
There we go.
Yes.
So there's a hybrid variant of the 320 and 321 as well with the CEO engine, which is the IAE V2500. So that is the aircraft where they've been modification. Okay, so there must have been some 320s that were modified post factory, in other words. Want to come back to me on that one? Anyone know about that? Because Lance D, Simple Flying had the news of the wing cracks this morning. Explain it in a lot more detail. Okay, so can we see that, Gilly? Let me just bring up their okay, let me just see if I can search it. Okay, trending. Search Simple Flying. A320 wing cracks. Where are the wing cracks? Where did he say they were? On the wing. Okay, EASA. Okay, interesting. EASA extends A320 CEO wing fatigue cracking inspections to all A320 Neo models. Interesting. So what that basically means is there's a shark clip on the CEO models. Not all of them. The very old ones have that fence style winglet on it, much like the A380. Same as the A380 actually. But the retrofit, I'm guessing, shark clip, which went on to the hybrid variants before the Neos. So now what they're saying is that the Neos are also under concern, and that's interesting because where are those cracks? Oh, I've got to join the whole bleeding thing, haven't I? Can I say, join our content team? We're going to have to do that, aren't we, Gilly?
I've got an account.
Okay. Can we log in?
Okay. Oh, man.
So that's an interesting subject. Thank you. The new one looks right. Okay, let's just scroll down here a little bit, get some more. We got Jill Baxter there, Transport in Kent. Beautiful aircraft. That would be sad if they got rid of those. Yeah, it is. It's a great looking jet. And of course, we've been used to seeing it at Heathrow as well. Remember, they used to bring their A340-300s in as well, which were pretty cool. Like that livery, Bootle lad. That's fantastic livery on a 339, Lance D. Makes sense financially, but it's definitely a shame. Indeed, it is. Obviously, that's going to sort of like drag on. I think you remember the thing with Qatar and the issue that they had at the join up on the top of the
just do it without.
On the top of the SATA, the communication system on the blister on top of the roof was on top of the fuselage where the fuselage joined there. I think there was some meshing or something like that. So here we go. Previously, the directive only required operations to expect A319. Should we put a picture of it? I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll save that for another show. Yeah, okay. Let's save that for another show. Let me just do that and then just do copy. Okay. Hold on a minute. Wait a minute. Just having a look and see. Okay, it doesn't show where the wing cracks are. Let me just bring that up there and start that right at the top there. Paste A320. Just call them wing cracks. No, not perfect. Ever done swipe text, folks? Best thing in the world. No one gets it. I don't know anyone yet that I've shown swipe text to who go, that's unbelievable. Oh my God, it's just saved me so much time. But they're all like, I can't get it right. Anyway, there we go. So next subject, Gilly. New engine concept. This is something that we also discussed in Toulouse as well. So these guys at Safran, who we all know, well, we don't all know, but they're an engine parts manufacturer and engine manufacturer themselves as well. They do a lot of stuff based, obviously, down in France. Let's just have a quick look and see what it says here. But this is the sort of like new concept that they're talking about in terms of powering future regional aircraft at this stage, that is. So it says Safran tests radical jet engine design in historic wind tunnel. French engine maker Safran said on Friday it had begun wind tunnel tests for its RISE technology project, a radical jet engine design for the next generation of medium-haul jets, not just domestics. Safran and its partner GE Aerospace are testing the building blocks for an open-bladed jet engine able to reduce fuel emissions by 20% from the middle of the next decade. Positioned as a possible successor to the LEAP model used on the Boeing 737 Max and about half the contending A320neos, RISE will feature visible fan blades and will be twice the diameter of today's comparable models in a quest for efficiency. They are some crazy-looking blades. And one of the key parts of the certification they're saying here is the issue with the safety of the blades in terms of there being a blade off, because that would do some serious damage to that empennage, and also, by the looks of it, the struts that hold it on. So there we go. I'm trying to decipher. Oh,
sorry,
okay.
The comment moved.
Okay, little bit of space drink. How are we doing then, Julie? Are we all right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to get on to some subjects, folks. We're just nipping through. David, what's going on here? Whatever.
Click on the show at the bottom, the blue box.
New comments.
Yes.
Okay. MDD had an MD-80 for DC-9. That's the sort of thing that they're gearing towards, isn't it? Okay, so there's your new engine concept design. Now, here's another thing that sort of like caught my eye. That is that hydroelectric engines are already starting to come to fruition. I was not aware of this, but have you got this one, Gilly? Company called Zero Avia. They've received an order for 20 ZA600 engines, and these are hydro-powered engine. Meher, an Indian seaplane airplane, has ordered up to 20 has ordered up to 20 Zero Avia ZA600 hydrogen electric engines. The engines will be retrofitted on Mecher's future fleet of aircraft, including 10 Cessna Caravans. The ZA600 engine is a zero-emission engine that will provide clean and quiet propulsion for regional aircraft with a range of up to 300 nautical miles. So that's not bad, is it? That's sort of like 300 nautical miles. You're not going to make Birmingham in that, are you? That would have to be sort of like Southend, Heathrow kind of thing, possibly. I'm talking about the return trip as well, before they'd... but then again, 300 nautical miles. I was under the impression, forgive me if I'm wrong, but the hydroelectric engines were sort of like, self-powering in terms of they don't come back to base and they have to be charged up again, because obviously the hydrogen mixing with the air is what creates the electricity. So obviously the batteries, the fuel cells, should I say, need to be stored somewhere. And of course the hydrogen needs to be stored somewhere. I believe the hydrogen is going to be stored in the wing, and possibly the fuel cells somewhere on the aircraft, maybe in the belly or something for a CFG, because obviously you need a good center of gravity because those batteries weigh quite a lot. But anyway, I just thought it was quite an interesting story, really, and good for us and good for everybody and good for the environment, good for those sheep in the background as well. Okay, next one. Yeah, here we go. This is another thing that we saw on our trip to Toulouse was the A380 being powered. Well, sorry, I'll start again. I was just looking at that because it's an A380. Here we go, folks. This is the Zero demonstrator or Zero E demonstrator that Airbus are going to be bolting to the side of their. Even though that's showing that, are they going to re-register it? Is that a new registration? Because I thought it was WOW, the one that they were using. But anyway, she's there at Toulouse. She hasn't got any engines on her. Whether they've gone off to be serviced or whether they're going to actually use them on other aircraft as spares or what, I don't know. Likelihood is that they'll keep the engines because then, I mean, there's a few of them around. There's a big spares market for the A380 because so many have been retired, especially Emirates, which is a great shame because GP, you're looking out for comments, yeah, that anything that's relative to this that I'll put up. But yes, obviously going to be a test bed. I think it's around about 20. Let's just have a look. Again, it's another one. The test bed for Zero E Rust CT. Indeed, it is. Airbus plans, and again, this is simple flying. Airbus plans to install the hydrogen fuel cell system on its 380 test bed for in-flight testing in 2026. The Zero project aims to produce a hydrogen-powered commercial plane by 2035 using innovative technologies and concepts. So again, they've got the hydrogen cell and the intercell. Russ saying, yes, they have. They've already tested it. I think somewhere in here, it says how many megawatts. Here we go. Look, I told you it was a little bit and not 28. I think I said 2.8. In June 2023, the team at Airbus, and this was on this is inside a facility. Literally, it didn't even look like an engine, to be honest with you. All the components that went into it. In June 2023, the team at Airbus successfully tested the hydrogen fuel cell system, which reached 1.2 megawatts, its full power level. Later that year, the propulsion system prototype, which includes the hydrogen fuel cell system and the electric motors, was powered on at 1.2 megawatts at the E Aircraft House in Munich. So there we go. It's right around 1 megawatt, he goes, Screaming Emu. I believe a typical jet engine is more like 10 times that. Yeah, I mean, obviously, we're looking at a little tiny engine on the back of that 380. We're not talking about an engine that's going to power anything near the size of an A380. This is for, again, regional stuff. They're going to start on that sort of like low-level thing. I don't think that it's powerful enough to go on a 320 Neo or something like that, or a 320 or anything like that. I think it's literally ATR size at this point in time, purely on the basis that, firstly, you need a tremendous amount of thrust to get any aircraft off the ground. A commercial jet, should I say, in terms of weight. Hydro-powered fuel cell engine architecture with cryogenic storage could feature in all new zero-emission aircraft, which will enter service by 2035, transporting Kent. Yeah, we're talking about, again, I have to say, regional aircraft. We're not talking about big, giant aircraft. We've talked about this before, where, a big Super Twin or even an A320 Neo still needs a fossil-fueled engine that could potentially... Julie, going like that. Sounds like we've got a bolt loose. The larger aircraft will need some kind of a hybrid system where you would need the thrust of the engine, the fossil engine, to get the thing up to altitude, and then once it's at altitude, and all the systems say, yeah, we're ready for it, you just need to carry speed. The fuel cell will kick in, and then on the descent, they'll start the main engines just in case they have a go around. That's literally all it's for, because if they didn't have a go around, they'd probably be able to bring this thing in. But you need the power. You need the emergency power, should I say, just in case something goes wrong. So I can see a potential for hybrid jets in the future in terms of that kind of thing. But that's a lot of technology in terms of linking the two up, because obviously there are Formula One engines or car engines that are hybrid. Whether they can develop that technology for aviation, for aircraft, big aircraft, that is, so that they can sort of like work with the current fossil fuel engines until, of course, technology comes along and we're able to use all big boosters and power megatrons and stuff like that, and we won't be around then. But anyway, so there we go. Pretty cool, and hopefully we'll see that. What's that? 2025? It said, yeah. So over time, when we go down at Toulouse, we might see things turn. It'd be great to see them paint that thing up as well. Okay, GP. Can you leave me little and then just change the picture? Or do you have to? Yes. You have to put me big, don't you? Yeah. Okay. All right, go on then. So here's an interesting one, which made the news with an A350 flying into Toronto. And you good? Keep going.
It's changed them all up again.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I'll find
Okay.
it.
We're just gonna. I'll just.
I've got it.
Okay. Here we go. Okay. Right. So look at that, folks. That's pretty meaty, isn't it? That's a pretty decent tail strike. I mean, there's quite a lot of damage there, I have to say. Just purely because I think it reaches. I don't know if it fully reaches up as far as the. It's all carbon, isn't it? That's all carbon. So that will have to be fixed because there's no plating there. There's no other than the APU. You can see. Is my mouse on there? No, it's not. You can see where the APU inspection doors are. That's obviously alloy. That can be easily replaced. I think that's possibly alloy there as well, that top section, just forward of the APU outlet. The APU outlet can be fixed, but it's the pieces, it's the bit that's sort of like forward of that by about 10 feet, something like that, isn't it? That's a pretty big scrape. So we'll have to see. There was a photo of it throwing a nice bit of, this is your pal Palpatine, isn't it? What was it, Nick Gray? There were a lot of sparks on the video. The tail strike. You have to be so uncomfortably nose up to tail strike that thing. Well, get this then, Screaming Emu. Watch this. Can we take that one off, Julie? Okay, there we go. Yeah, there were a lot of sparks. So we're going to play the video out now, folks. This is quite interesting for somebody who videoed it. Space drink. Nice airport. How did they manage to do that, Steph's saying? I think it's after touchdown. I think he's sort of like overflared it. You ready? Okay. Go for it. Down. There's the scrape. And again. There it is. Oh, so yeah. Go around. Wow, how gnarly is that, man? Felt that. Yes, it is the tail strike. Yes, giving it full beans and all, mate. Wow, get out of town. Bounced and overflared squirrel. Livy, bumpy one. It did make some noise, it did. That scrape was gnarly, wasn't it? The pilot's feedback for ATC was they experienced a long landing on rollout. Toga time, there we go. I thought the A350 would have had a better tail strike protection, Screaming Emu saying. Yeah, I mean, a lot of well, I'd say a lot of damage. I mean, it's not once they've got the parts. Obviously, they need to, they'll have parts for the spares for the back end of it. But how they repair that carbon, whether they'll have to put some protective sheeting over it, because that's how they basically repair carbon. You see it a lot on Formula One cars. I know I keep going on about them, but that's the sort of like in terms of the carbon element. You know, when you look at the wing structures and all that kind of you do see quite a lot of repair. Not on aircraft, of course, not that I've seen anyway. However, I'd imagine that that's what they will probably have to do. They can't rivet something on there. That would not work. They can't fasten something on there. Obviously, inspect the inside of it. That'll be part of a major part of the inspection process, because all the stuff will have to come out from inside the floor underneath. Just to inspect it. But I don't think it's gone anywhere near through, because that carbon, it's really quite thick. I think it's around about well, actually, you know what? I'm not gonna quote on that. I think it's quite thick, because the carbon on the engine cowls is around about 10 mil thick, and I can't imagine that the carbon on the fuselage would be that thin. You know, like the alloy, for example. I think it's quite thick, but it's obviously very light. Yeah, be quite interesting. 777 tail strike skid on the 300 opt. Okay, let's just have a little look here. Pitch limiter, Screaming Emu saying, yeah, well, that's interesting, isn't it? Because obviously you just can do that, can't you? I mean, the aircraft pitch limiter, yeah. Well, in other words, a bit like on your new cars these days, where you start going off the centre line and it pushes you back, sort of thing. So yeah, I think that's what he's basically saying there. But does the A220 have a pitch limiter on it? Do aircraft have pitch limiters on it? John Atkin, 350 fuselage made from carbon. 350 fuselage, John Atkinson saying, made from carbon panels, unlike the barrel structure on a 787, so will be much easier to fix. There we go. Made of carbon panels. I'm sure that means carbon panels. Yeah, interesting. So it's paneling. I know that the underside of the wing is the biggest piece of carbon on any aircraft in terms of the usage of carbon on aircraft. But anyway, interesting. A350-900. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Now, here's an interesting one. Getting on to a little bit of freight. That we've been talking about recently as well. Something that we're hoping to see in the coming months, maybe another year, possibly, before we see it. Don't know whether one's actually been actually physically manufactured, but Airbus have released what the A350 will look like. Now, can somebody confirm on here? Here comes a picture of it in its beautiful livery, which was a competition. This I think it was a young kid who won it, or somebody won it, but it's an absolutely brilliant livery, isn't it? With all the sort of like different things on a box and this way up and all those kind of things. Freight door obviously on the other side. Now that, to me, I think it's a 1000. From as far as I'm aware, both the 350 and 787 are made from carbon fibre, and all up and down the fuselage. Yes, indeed. All you have to do is look at your PFD. Okay, so this is what. Yeah, but it all happened so fast, didn't it? But mind you, it didn't actually happen that fast, did it? It was sort of like there was quite a big delay on it. Yeah, quite interesting. And it was only a 900. Well, it's only a 900, but it's obviously, you know. But anyway, yeah, that does look good, doesn't it? I like the way that Airbus have done that. They're taking orders for it already. It's nowhere near what. Well, actually, I say it's nowhere near. They're not that far behind Boeing with the 777-8 freighter at this stage. Quite a few people have ordered these already. One of which is it Qatar or which one's the first one, GP? Singapore Airlines. This looks pretty smart. Check this out. It's a 1000 shortened. 1000 shortened. Of course, what you've got to consider here, folks, is they've got to, in the manufacturing process, because that particular section of the fuselage, forward of the empennage and aft of the wing, is a part that's manufactured. What's that going out? We can open the door, actually, can't we? Excuse me.
Okay, and that is the Qantas 380.
Is it? Oh, sorry. Okay, what's going on? It's a little bit high, let's say. Okay, there we go. Right, just a little bit of ambient noise for you folks. So there you go. Yeah, so the section that obviously they can manufacture the A350, it's going to have a different flooring in it. There's obviously going to be, it's going to be strengthened in certain sections of the floor is going to be a lot stronger. In terms of the upper sort of like core of the aircraft, I think it's more or less the same, just but without the seats and without the the ceiling and the just whatever they have to put in there, like they do with freighters, which is just a plastic with the little controls, all like probably about 3 or 4 on the A350 inside the cabin, where they can just direct the freight. This one coming up, Cafe Cargo, looks smart, doesn't it? Just about see the cargo, the main deck cargo door there as well. So yeah, these guys are taking quite a lot of orders for them at the moment, and going through tests. I don't know quite how far they've got with them. There is a new jet with some lift volume capacities. Same lift. What's this? Turkish Airlines ordered 5 of the 350 cargo aircraft. This order follows Cathay Cargo's recently announced decision to order 6 A350 freighters, with the right to order 20 more, Brian Stewart saying. Yeah, I don't think they're far behind Boeing in terms of the 777 freighter. We're talking, less than 100, I think, something like that. So it's a big battle between Boeing and Airbus, and it's just going to carry on, isn't it? Can they hear that? But isn't it funny in the way that freight version has to be stronger than one carrying people? I understand freight is heavier, but still. Well, Nick Gray, it's just literally for the integrity of the aircraft in terms of its strength and dynamics, with it's going to be a lot more weight, so it obviously has to be strengthened a lot more. Cargo floors are quite bulky and quite heavy, even though they use very sophisticated materials nowadays, very light alloys and carbon as well. Electric motors to move the freight around inside the cabin, very lightweight plastic inside the cabin to minimize that as well and to maximize the amount of space that they've got. I think the 350 that we've talked about before, the XWB, the reason why they call it the XWB is because if you can imagine a perfectly circular tube that the traditional aircraft are made using, then basically what Airbus have done, and that is a big exaggeration, what Airbus have done is squeeze the top of it to make it wider at the side, so as to increase the. It does feel very spacious in there as well, as I've as far as I'm compared to a 777. 777's a little bit tighter, but only marginally. But it just seems that the 350s a little bit more spacious, and that's why they're so big up on what was that? Has to be made strong enough to handle Jerry's latest sketches orders. Yeah, right. Best shoe ever. Anyway, right, what are we doing next? A350 update. So that's pretty good. Let's give Boeing a bit of love, shall we? 777-8 notes. Qatar are the launch customer for the 777-8 freighter. And I think it's Lufthansa. Is it Lufthansa or is it Qatar who are the launch customer for the 777 freighter, 8 freighter? But look at that, folks. Isn't that
Lufthansa for the 777X?
Yeah, Lufthansa for the 777X. There we go. But Qatar Cargo, isn't that absolutely beautiful? I think they've also made some orders for the freighter as well. I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, Rusty T, it's why the 380 gave problems, because you'd have to strengthen the floor. This is something that we're going to talk about very shortly, Russ, funny enough. That's actually our main topic today, eventually, believe it or not. But he's saying, Rusty T, it's why the A380 gave problems or had problems, because you'd have to strengthen the floor as well as the one above, which is made very heavy. Well, also, not just that. Where is that comment? Can you get it off? Oh no, there it is. There we go. But yeah, it's not just that; it's also the layout of the A380, because obviously, as you can imagine. Anyway, let's talk about that in a little bit, because we're gonna jump on that in a little bit about the freighter, because that's the main subject. Because we have discussed that down in Toulouse, funny enough, as well as other places as well. People have not regularly, but have brought it up on occasion in terms of the why didn't they create the A380 freighter? But anyway, we'll talk about that in a second. Qatar Airways has become the first customer to commit to Boeing's new 777-8 freighter with a firm order for 34 and options for 16 more for delivery starting 2027. Wow. Okay. The carrier also ordered 2 more 777 freighters, the 200s, I'm guessing. The 777-8 freighter has a maximum revenue payload of 112 tons and a range of 4,400 nautical miles. 112 tons. Interesting. Let's just have a little look at this. This is interesting, again, from Cargo Facts, written by Frederick Horst. Both freighters make worthy competitors, according to Cargo Facts Consulting. Apart from the differences in capabilities and performance, individual customer preferences and factors such as fuel burn and price will dictate the orders such each manufacturer is likely to receive. Bear in mind that this is the GE9X going on the 777-8 freighter, same as the 777X, whilst the A350 will have the XWB engine, the Rolls-Royce engine. However, you can bet your bottom dollar that when Rolls-Royce get their new UltraFan up and running, that's the engine that's going to probably power the the A350 freighter, because they've actually made a point of it. So let's just have a little look here. Of course, about the 747-400F. Oh, okay. Well, yeah. I was just looking for the difference in. Let's just have a quick look here. Let's just do a quick Swift type. Oh, no. Okay. A350F cargo capacity. See how quickly I wrote that? 111 tons. Wow. Boeing's gotten by a ton. Blimey. So it's all going to be down to fuel efficiency and the efficiency of the aircraft and range and all that kind of stuff. Around about 64 vehicles for the 350, it says here. That's quite interesting, isn't it? So that is going to continue on and on and on, and it's going to be a battle of who can get theirs out first. I'll be honest with you, 2027. I think that Airbus are looking at early 2026 for their A350 freighter. It's been put back a little bit due to obviously their own issues, both in terms of parts and all the usual stuff with materials and all these exotic materials, and of course the engines and etc. The engine's not such a big problem, is it? But you've got to go to the back of the queue. It's not like they've got warehouses full of A350 engines, Rolls-Royce, that is. But that's an ongoing battle that we'll have to sort of like look at. Okay, next on the agenda, GP. Hey, what's that? Oh yeah, you got that one. Cargojet. We've seen them before. Remember their 767s at London Heathrow during the pandemic, and also we see them a lot when we go to the USA as well. Great livery. We love it. There's a Cargojet 777 freighter. I can't remember whether it was Cargojet or we're looking at doing something with Boeing and the 777-300 freighter. But interestingly enough, unfortunately, Cargojet has abandoned their 777 freighter plans due to a soft market for freight, which is quite interesting, isn't it? Because literally, you see one side of the coin, and then the next day it's like, oh, it's booming. We got more business than we can handle. One little thing the other day, actually, it was yesterday. I was up Heathrow, and there was a 787 at the freight terminal at the bread bin Don't know if anyone knows anything about that. Maybe Roger could answer that one. Let's go on new comments here. By the time the new range of cargo aircraft are on stream, Spaces will be on Mars. Okay, SpaceX will be on Mars, flying point to point around the Earth. I don't know about that, Martin. I'm not in agreement with you there. A new range of cargo aircraft are on stream. 2025, 2026, I think SpaceX are a good few years off landing on Mars. But we'll see. But the race is on. Transport in Kent saying Emirates are ordering 55 Boeing 777-9s and 35 777-8s on top of the other 777s, bringing the airline's total orders for the 777X to 205 aircraft. Exclamation mark. Worthy of an exclamation mark, that one. Wow. Yeah, well, there we go. It's just an ongoing battle, isn't it? It's who can deliver them quickest is the problem, obviously. Certification, etc., etc. Boeing are able to, I think, be a little bit more. Could be a little bit. Well, they should be a little bit quicker, only because they don't have a carbon fuselage on the 777. It's got a carbon wing, but in terms of making the door and its attachments and its surround will be in exotic materials as well. It's bonding that framework to the door as well. Well, the door will be carbon, obviously, but the framework around it. Look at Formula One front wings. You'll see all different types of alloys being blended into the carbon. Looks very smart, very cool. It's a shame, like back in the day where they had the chrome aircraft, the underbellies, it used to look really cool, and we miss them. And it would be pretty cool if they could just do all carbon, but they can't do that unless, of course, they find a way to protect it from the UV light, which is a very difficult thing because a clear coat, you'd still get UV in there, I think. So anyway, maybe paint manufacturers will come up with something. There's Britannia with an oversized fuselage still around somewhere not being used. Okay, so there we go. Canadian cargo jet has opted against entering the Boeing 777 freighter sector. Okay, so what's that then? Is that a mock-up, perhaps, that somebody's done, and dropping its commitment for 4 converted aircraft? Okay, so they would have been 200s, no doubt. The airline reached deals in October 2021 and February 22 to purchase and convert 4 777-200LRs. It also entered an agreement in February 22 to purchase and convert 4 777-300ERs. There we go. So that is obviously an artist's impression of what it would have looked like. As a result, it intended to have 6 777s in the freighter fleet by the end of 24, comprising 4 200LRs, 300 and 2 300s. The remaining pairs, blah, blah, blah. The company had identified DHL as an initial customer for its 777 operations. So, wow, that's quite interesting because that market is massive, isn't it, in terms of the e-commerce market, the DHLs, the UPSs as well, Atlas Air, all different people and companies operated by Atlas Air, operated by this, Polar, all those guys really do have the market there. So maybe it's just a market share that's hurt them, and in terms of their capabilities of getting the market, because Cargojet primarily, I think, mostly are ad hoc freight company with sort of like car parts and stuff like that, and not so much the e-commerce market. I might be wrong because we did see a lot of them at Miami, but whether they were commerce, because the cargo jets were parked over where the DHLs are, so they may be using their 767s for DHL. They may have a contract, an ongoing contract with DHL, but not enough to warrant them getting those 777s done. So there we go. We'll have to see. Well, it looks like, until we hear otherwise, that's an idea that's gone down the pan. Okay, next one, GP. Here's an interesting one, folks. The V2500 engine, which we've talked about. This is quite interesting.
Hold up. Next is your departure?
Yes, that's right, yeah.
Okay.
So what we're going to play first is my departure down to Toulouse from Heathrow the other day. Now, just note that I put a little piece on the front end of this to show you guys that this is what British Airways do and other companies around the world, Virgin Atlantic, in order to save fuel. And it might seem like a little bit of a way. I mean, this is probably, I'd say, about maybe quarter of a mile, maybe something like that, that before he starts the number 2 engine. I'd imagine that he's shut the APU down by now and the number 2 is being powered up by the number 1 engine. I don't know, or maybe there's just to make sure that everything's, the air starter system's working, because normally they start the number 1 and that then converts the high pressure, the air into the starter system for the number 2. But sometimes if they're doing it at gate, they fire it off of the APU. Different aircraft, different startup systems. Dreamliner, double electric start. So but anyway, we start our engine around about a quarter mile in, and here it is. And I didn't cut that little bit there, did I?
Nice.
Okay, sorry. Okay, and then listen to this thing go. Now, hold on a minute, GP, before you play it.
Okay.
Just have a look there, folks. See on the engine cowl, you see the repairs there. One on the left-hand side, down just above just below the centre line. There's another one that you can't quite see. But on the right-hand side, just below the spinner there, there's quite a significant repair, and we're talking about a lot of fixings in there, lots and lots of rivets. Screaming in, we call it SETWA, single engine taxi without APU. So they have shut the APU down. So listen to this, folks. It's a nice start up, and then listen to this thing go flat out, and we'll talk about the IAE engine in a little bit. Go. Can I hear me? Jilly?
Yes.
Stop doing that.
I'm sorry, I can't help it.
It's not really coming through, is it? Just making some more space drink. There it is.
Shh, and then listen to it.
Good afternoon to all. My name is Darren, the flight lead. It's my pleasure.
See the patches? Did you see those, folks? So when we see engine cowls on the front of aircraft that are odd colours, that is basically the front cowl has gone off for service, and that's usually, obviously, due to a strike of some sort. It might be a tiny little, maybe a bird strike. It could be ice. It could be an acorn. No? Right. But anyway, this is interesting. IAE sees V2500 engine business continuing for decades. How about that, folks? Fair play to them. IAG partnership, which is celebrating its 40th anniversary. GP, you want to put that picture up of the yellow engine? Which is celebrating its 40th anniversary, expects its V2500 engine family to remain in service beyond 2045. That's very interesting, because that is a proper non sort of like new engine type, is it? When you look at the Neo, look how many fan blades are in that thing compared to, we can hear it when it climbs out. It's nothing like, screams literally. But obviously, I'd imagine remain in service on aircraft. We're not talking about new engines, I don't think. The IAE partnership, established to manufacture the V2500 family, is celebrating the 40th anniversary of the engine. As it celebrates its 40th anniversary, International Aero Engines partnership established in 1983 to manufacture the V2500 family medium to large turbofan engines. Jilly, do you want to run that picture of the expects the V25 to continue generating aftermarket business, and that means aftermarket as in replacement engines, aircraft on ground, AOG, spare parts, etc., but to maintain the aircraft that are currently running it right the way through to 2045. The aircraft engine program is in the prime of its life, where you dream an engine program should be, said Earl Exham, president of the IAE partnership and VP of mature commercial engines for Pratt & Whitney. Moreover, he added, it has established an impressive reliability record and will remain in operation for many years to come. I concur on that, most definitely. That beautiful engine, man. You know, isn't it lovely? It doesn't look like anything like you would expect it to when you look at it, but look how many fan blades it's got. That's the sort of like, you know, Achilles heel these days with the LEAP engine and the new Pratt & Whitney engine in terms of the big fan blade technology, bigger engine cowls, bigger engine, more intake, more bypass, more fuel efficiency, basically. So, sort of like a ratio of, you know, I don't know what the ratio is on that, but I imagine that it's like 10 or 20% higher on the newer, bigger engines. The vast majority of existing V25s have been the A1 and the A5 variants powering the A320ceo family, which I went out on, and also manufactured the D5, which powered the 160 MD90s. Built by McDonnell Douglas and Boeing. So there are old ones, but also that's it. 320 CEOs and 321 CEOs. Fair play to them. This fan production engine that IE claims a 3% fuel efficiency advantage for the V25 over the competing 320 CEO family production engine, the CFM56. So we're talking about aircraft, the CEOs that we see with British Airways, powered by the IAE engines, and other airlines operating the CFM56 engine, which is on the 320s and also on the 737s. So there we go. Just a quick one. V engines have not yet been inducted for their first maintenance shop visit, and about 70% of all However, despite the V25 engine's high degree of operational maturity, some 30% of all V25 engines have not yet been inducted for their first maintenance shop visits, and about 70% are less than 15 years old. Wow, there we go. 1,784 321 CEOs delivered and powered by the IAE engine. So next time we see that, folks, on the aircraft, give a little bit of love for the old IAE, which I think only has the the slide door reverser system on it, I believe. So there we go. Right, next thing up. Oh, this is a good one. This is from on LinkedIn, by the way, folks. You'll like this. You'll really like this. Turn it up, crank it right up, and mute me when I stop talking, Julie. From Muthana Hassan on LinkedIn. Engine run up performed by an A220. Screaming Emu will like this. A380F after replacing the engine number 2 and performing all return to service tasks. Quite interesting. That must mean that this is obviously, the Pratt & Whitney engine, which obviously had issues. They had to take the other one off. It's quite interesting, isn't it? You know, an aircraft so young needs a full engine replacement. But obviously it was just as a result of the original engine had to go off to have the repairs made. And this one is a replacement that they'll put on the aircraft and run it until the other one's available to come back. And they'll take this one off and that'll go back in the spares department. Hello, spares! But anyway, let's run this one, GP. This is quite interesting. And this is, again, check out the vortex on this.
Oh.
Oh.
Okay, let's see what happens if I refresh. Hang on. I will be back. Keep talking.
Yeah, you'll see a nice little bit of wizard, as we call it, as the engine sucks the air off the ground, as well as obviously around it. But generally, you can see this wizard being created, and they're really giving it full beans. This is a full power test. I think Screaming Emu might agree with me on this one. Let's just have a little look at this. Is Jilly going to get anywhere near it? Thanks, everyone.
Okay.
I think we're going to get it. Here we go. Stand by. Mute me, GP. So how about that? Full beans, but then pulling back quite quick, actually. I think that's a full test and then pulling back on the throttles, not to idle, but sort of like as if they're taking off. And then once they've gone through the climb, they're just easing back off the throttles, like you saw on the old My Departure. Screaming Emu sounds like between 50 and 80%. But I'm making that up because I'm never outside with the motors on. Wow, yeah, but you'd love to be as well. Maybe full power to climb power. Maybe full power to climb power, and then coming off Melody Wizards. Notice the vortex only happens at the bottom of the engine. John M saying, "Yeah, John, that's because it's moisture coming off the ground." It's just like dragging all the moisture off the ground. I kind of know what you're talking about in terms of like, you know, well, why is it sort of? Well, that's what you get the fogging effect. That's when you get the fogging effect in the engine intake when you get the full beans departure that you saw on the IAE departure out of good old London Heathrow. Right, so there we go. Thank you, Mathana Hassan on LinkedIn. Right, we're going to show you a little video here, folks, and we're going to do this on every show until we run out of material, which will probably be in the year 2027. This is our engine breakdown, and this is on what's the name of the blah blah GP? Okay, let me just have a look. It's part one. This is part one. I'm just going to and this is from Aircraft Science, and I think they're pretty cool, folks. Give them a look. They've got 65,000 subscribers, and a lot of people are putting some great comments up again about this aircraft science. And this is the first one, how the jet engine works, part one, starting. Now, this is the APU system. So we're going to run this and you sit back and enjoy it.
The GE90 is the world's most powerful commercial jet engine in service. The Boeing 777, the best-selling wide-body aircraft of all time. The combination of the engine and the airframe is nothing short of an engineering marvel. In this comprehensive 777 engine series, we will build up the engine from scratch and understand how all the components function as we start and operate it. The engine has two rotor shafts, high-pressure shaft and the low-pressure shaft. A stator and a rotor combine to form a single stage. The N2 shaft has 9 such stages of high-pressure compressors and 2 stages of high-pressure turbine. The N1 shaft has 6 stages of low-pressure turbine, 4 stages of low-pressure compressors, and ahead of them is the massive fan. Before we look at more engine components, let's do the aircraft configuration for engine start. First, the battery switch. Battery provides limited power, good enough to start the APU, a small engine in the empennage of the aircraft. Rotate the APU start switch, hold for a second and release. The APU is online. Now we can use the APU generator. Selecting the generator switch establishes full electrical power of the aircraft.
So this is where the little hatch opens
During
up.
engine start, electrical panels will provide power to the electronic engine control, installed on the engine fan case. APU will also provide the pneumatic power to start the engine. Make sure the bleed switch is in auto position. Next, the fuel panel selections. We only require fuel from the left main tank, so select the 2 left tank pump switches.
Scott Topley gulpers.
2 boost pumps inside the fuel tank. Transfer fuel to the engine spar valve in the wing aft spar section. Aircraft configuration is complete. Let's attempt an engine start.
Here we go.
On the engine, the pneumatic pressure reaches the start valve. 777 has an auto start feature. When used, the EEC takes over the entire engine start operation. Now turn the engine start switch to start position. EEC gets the start signal and power to operate.
Magic's going to start happening.
EEC commands the start valve to open. The pneumatic pressure reaches the air starter.
Here we go. Start rotating.
The air starter drives the accessories gearbox. Several torque-requiring components are mounted on the gearbox. One of them is the horizontal drive shaft that connects to the transfer gearbox. The transfer gearbox changes the axis of rotation and with the help of a radial drive shaft, rotates the N2 shaft. As N2 rises, airflow is established through the core of the engine.
Here we go.
Due to the airflow, N1 shaft has positive rotation. Fan rotation in turn leads to bypass airflow through the engine.
Here we go.
At 7% N2, a small alternator installed on the gearbox supplies power to the EEC, and the airplane power supply goes into standby mode.
Here we go.
Since we are doing an auto start, we can use the fuel control switch, and need not wait for the engine to reach 21% N2, which is the case in manual start. Let's select the fuel control switch to run, and see how the fuel travels within the engine. The fuel control switch opens the spar valve, and the fuel rushes to the main fuel pump.
Here it comes.
The pump driven by the gearbox increases the fuel pressure
Fire it up
and transfers it to the fuel oil heat exchanger, where fuel picks up heat and cools down the engine oil. From the heat exchanger, fuel travels to the fuel filter, filter screens the fuel for debris, and transfers it back to the pump. From here the fuel is sent to the hydro-mechanical unit. The HMU now controls the fuel to the engine for combustion, and any excess fuel is bypassed back to the pump. HMU waits for the EEC command to open the fuel shutoff valve, and EEC waits for N2 to reach 21%. As N2 reaches 21% RPM, EEC sets up the engine for combustion.
Here we go.
Out of 2
Eventually.
ignition exciters, EEC commands one to activate, keeping the other as backup. The ignition exciter converts the input power to high voltage pulse and transfers it to the igniter plug. 3 seconds after ignition activation, EEC commands the HMU to open the fuel shutoff valve. Before heading to the combustion chamber, fuel travels through the fuel flow transmitter and back into the
I haven't done it
HMU.
yet. I'm a bit early.
Fuel flow transmitter sends signal to the EEC to determine engine fuel consumption, which is crucial for engine performance monitoring.
No, she's running. She's running. Is she
Fuel
hot
is now
yet? Oh,
sent
no,
for
here we go.
combustion through 2 manifolds, to which are
Here
connected
we
30
go.
fuel nozzles.
Air set off. Shut down.
Each
And here
fuel
comes the
nozzle has
fuel.
2 sprayer tips, and each tip goes into the
Yeah.
swirler slots in the combustion chamber.
Swirler slots.
The swirlers
Brilliant.
diffuse the core airflow, slowing them down, ensuring proper fuel-air mixture, and buying enough time for efficient combustion.
And that's it in it.
Combustion gas forces directly affect the turbines. Since they are mounted on the same shaft, increase in high-pressure turbine rotation drives the high-pressure compressor at a faster rate. Likewise, increase in low-pressure turbine rotation drives the low-pressure compressor and the fan. As a result, the rate of airflow through the engine increases, leading to steady increase in thrust. Temperatures inside the
Shut the air
combustion
off.
chamber is adequate for sustained combustion. Therefore, at 56% N2, the EEC deactivates the ignition system. At about 64% N2, the EEC commands the start valve to close, and the pneumatic pressure to the starter is cut out, disengaging the air starter from the gearbox rotation. As the engine reaches and stabilizes at the idle power, EEC sends a signal to the airplane systems that the engine start procedure is now complete. This allows the airplane systems to de-energize the start switch latching solenoid so that it could return to normal position, ready for next start attempt when required. Join us in the next part of the 777 engine series as we continue to put the engine through its paces. Thanks for watching.
Cool. I tell you what, have you unmuted me then? Oh, yeah. More stuff coming up on that, but I actually made a bit of a mistake there. We missed the one before that, which is the APU. The whole startup of the APU. We'll run that on the next show. However, Jilly, can you just go on Google and just find? Hold on a minute. What about we show them our video of the GE90 in the Watch this, folks. You'll like this.
You're going to have to give me a minute.
Oh, okay.
I've got to find it.
Right. So anyway, we will obviously we're going to play you out a video of ours which we filmed at GE Wales, the maintenance and repair facility for General Electric, and at that point when we were down there, they were also doing stuff. Let's just say General Electric engines were their specialist subject, and what an amazing place to visit, and what an amazing place to walk in and smell, because all you can smell is literally Jet A1 and cleaning solutions and all that kind of cool stuff, where you basically see them turn the engine over, and so they can take all the modules out, the low pressure turbo, the LPT, all the different modules that come out. Then they get broken down and serviced right down to the compressor blades, the little tiny blades, right the way up to the fan blades that get checked for cracks, and incredible amount of constant engines coming in and out of there. And what is great is to see them being all assembled on the final assembly line at the back of the facility there at GE Wales. We were very, very fortunate, and this is one that this is a video that we're going to show you of. I think we've sort of like compressed it all into one particular section, which is just showing you the receipt, the reception area of where the engines are received, and then they go through their boroscope inspections, and then of course they get broken down, they get shipped up. Well, they get inspected initially, and then of course they know what they need to look out for, because the boroscope is like a it's a little a very high-powered camera that goes inside the core of the engine. You can see and inspect all the internals of it without actually having to take it down. So here it is, folks, the GE90 115B. And that, of course, there you can see the front end of the engine there prior to its breakdown, the fan assembly splines there. So that has not got its fan casing on or anything. So that's the front end, the cold end of the engine, and then the back end of the engine that you can see there with all the combustor and everything on it. Check this out, folks. Crank it up if you want to, because it's a maximum thrust test for the GE90 115B. Tonight on Sky. This is just so cool, man. All those things that you saw on the video just now. Obviously the high pressure system starting, the gearbox starting to turn the main blade up to the point where it can create its own. Here we go.
Not the JetBlue and Spirit?
No.
Okay. Or the Swiss 350? Or Stig Aviation?
No.
Or the 737?
No.
Wait, I'm deleting these, yeah?
Yeah. We're going to go to the yeah, not the freighter, not the freighter. Not deleting the freighter.
Well, what else is there?
Well, Stig Aviation.
I've just deleted it. You said no.
No, I say, I don't want it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Swiss 350.
You told me to delete it.
Yeah, I know. I don't want that.
So what? There's
So
only
next
the
is
380 straight away.
that's right, and that's what's coming up next.
I just said. You said no.
Get ready to hold on.
I did mute you. You were muted and we heard everything. Okay, whatever.
Yeah. Fogging a team. How cool is that, man? Oh my. Oh, let's leave this one on because it's a spool up, isn't it?
No idea.
I don't know, but I wanted to get a proper. Here we go, folks.
Completely messed up my system.
Well, I'm sorry. We'll wait till this one. Hey! Yeah. It's just like that, isn't it? Or like that. Nice, easy manoeuvre like that. Yeah, go on, son. Right, folks. Now on to the main subject.
I don't want to call it off a Brooklyn.
Absolutely fantastic. 777. You know, I don't think it'll ever be beaten, that noise. And the great thing is that the GE9X will be as, if not more, insane. I've heard it. We've seen it. We've heard it a couple of times. At Boeing Field, I think it was, or was it Payne? Never get it right. Anyway, so the main pointer for tonight that we were going to talk about was what we've discussed previously on the show. Quite a few times, quite a few people have asked, could they not convert the A380 into a freighter? Right, well, here's one thing to start with. The plan, and to be honest with you, I wasn't around when the A380 was originally conceived in terms of its prototype and when it was being flown around the world and shown off to everybody. And like, wow, double-decker, blah, blah, blah. So I wasn't around, unfortunately. However, apparently, there it is. The aircraft was originally boasted as a freighter, and as you can see there, interestingly enough, upper deck cargo with the freight door above the zero, and a lower deck cargo door in the normal sort of position that you'd expect. Now, what is interesting about that is that it's like it's possible. Don't get me wrong, but my concern with that would be the weight in terms of the floor. The flooring of the aircraft. However, when you consider the weight of 300 odd, 500 odd passengers, all their baggage and the cargo, all of that all up weight, which is around about the 500 ton mark. If you do the maximum all up weight on a 350 on a 380. It kind of like means that, you know, you might be a little bit limited in terms of your cargo all up weight capacity. The other thing I have to say is that because of the upper and lower deck, the lower section would have to be the floor, the normal floor would have to be lowered even further, and that would possibly mess with the architecture, the internal architecture of the aircraft. And because they need to be able to offer a high ceiling, a high clearance, so they can get big freight in there. I don't see any reason why they couldn't have done it, but from what I'm seeing is potentially the only two freight companies that they had on were UPS. We got a UPS artist's impression, and also FedEx as well. Who was it who brought this up on the show the other day? CPR 123. So the A380F would basically be double deck cargo, like it's double decker passenger. Basically basic logic, but good logic. Well, the only thing for me would be it would have I think that in terms of its capacity, in terms of weight, it might be the issue, because it could carry so much freight that would it not possibly be a little bit underpowered, possibly? And I'm not sure exactly what the reason was for Airbus to drop the A350 program. Obviously, this is an artist's impression, folks, believe it or not. Isn't it a beautiful thing? Imagine seeing it. But you know, you have to wonder, in terms of e-commerce freight, you know, parcels, general parcels, post, etc., which is mainly what UPS handles, as well as sort of like, you know, tires, bit of car parts and stuff like that, but generally electronic goods, which is still quite heavy. But we're not talking about big heavy equipment that you'd expect on a normal freighter, you know, like a 747, for example. So, you know, this is the, let's just have a look at that, the 380. Let's just have, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll just have a little look at the beginning of the freighter market that the aircraft manufacturers actually started with, and this is a beautiful example of the Guppy, ladies and gentlemen, based on the. But can you make that? Yeah, we go. Based on the. It was on the Strato tanker. Was it Strato tanker or Strato cruiser? This, of course, was turboprop. Let me just see if it does open. I don't know. I don't know as it does. I don't want to force it. I don't think it does. I think it's just a crease. But obviously, the front end of it there swung open. It's all cable powered. No fly-by-wire. All analog system on board the aircraft, very, very old type of. I mean, we're talking about that kind of aircraft that you're seeing behind it, you know, in terms of the era that we're talking about for because there was a lot of those aircraft that were left redundant, and so Airbus created the Guppy, which later became the Beluga. A lot later, it has to be said, but. Let's just have a look at this and look at this difference, because obviously when this was being used, it would have been flying the A300 potentially, or possibly early doors for the A320 maybe, but certainly early variants of aircraft, because it's obviously Airbus and not Aerospatiale, which was obviously Concorde and the Caravelle and all those kinds of aircraft. But have a look at this in terms of the scale that they've gone up to. That's the beautiful old Beluga there. But have a look at this. I'm going to have to move things around here just to fit it in. This is the which we saw in Toulouse last week. But actually, hold on a minute. Let me just put that kind of there like that, and then you can see the difference in size there. This is the A330 CEO platform for the Beluga XL. This is the number 4. They've got 6. We saw the 6th and last aircraft in the fleet when we were down at Toulouse, and of course you can see that front nose load system there that they've got for the Beluga, which is very unique. This is the big thing that I can't get my head around with regards to the fact that Airbus are offering their Belugas. I don't know about the XLs, but certainly because the XL is now capable of carrying 2 sets of A350 wings and 339 wings as well, of course, and possibly a lot more. I mean, God knows how many of those front ends that you can get in a Beluga, probably 3, maybe, and some other parts, I'm not sure. But of course, they transport all the parts to their assembly lines, and you see them sitting outside. It's just great to see when you go down to Toulouse. However, this is the thing that that sort of like confused me in terms of the loading, because if we take that out and excuse me one moment. Sorry. Okay. Obviously, you don't fiddle and fart around with it when you've got it static, do you? You just leave it like that. Okay, so there's the. Let's just take that beautiful. By the way, aviation retail direct. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you fancy a little bit of that, and it is chrome. It's fully chrome as well, folks. Beautifully constructed, got everything you need on it. So I don't know if they've got many of them left. Obviously, that's the number 1 aircraft. So this is Airbus's current factory aircraft that they utilise, and of course the smaller Beluga, which is based on the A300 platform, obviously has less capacity, but they are offering that up. Let me just pull that A3 that 787 forward a little bit. Come on, mate. Oh, let's just pull him in there. Like there we go. There we go. Nice and straight. There we go. Nicely done, son. So that is the Airbus aircraft that they use to deliver parts from one. Was that Charlie? From one facility to another, and here is another. I guess we need to show you this one, folks. This is the crazy looking, I have to say, 747, which is the Dreamlifter, which is Boeing's. Well, actually, I say Boeing. It's actually operated by Atlas Air, these jets. I think that's as far out as I can go. Far out, man. So let's just put that one right the way over there and get this 747. So she's in that direction. It's an odd-looking thing, isn't it? You know, it does. You know, it's just. This is obviously one that's just come out of the final assembly line, which is just a brilliant model, isn't it? That's the kind of thing I like to have as a model because it's very unique. You know, I like things that are sort of like in their stages of production. This one's done. She's ready to. She's ready for paint. Let's just get a little bit closer in on her. Very, very detailed, as you can see there. That whole section in the middle, of course, is it's just the front of a 747 and the back of a 747. Now, here's the good bit. Hold on a minute. How about that, folks? The whole back section is a swing tail, a bit like the old Canadair CL44 from back in the day. Amazing how strong that connection, that hinge mechanism must be. Think about it. It's a lot of weight to swing out there. I don't know. I don't think there's any. I don't think there's any form of support there. I don't know if they put a jack underneath it, a stabilizing pin or whatever they call it, but a Kango, that kind of thing. But it's remarkable, isn't it, that that can take all that weight, and then you just put it back together, and there it is. You see, isn't that lovely, eh? Of course, she's powered by CFM engines, I think. Look at that, taking up the airfield. Right, in terms of other freighter aircraft. Quality not old school, but in terms of the freighter market that a lot of other people use for heavy stuff, for heavy lift. Of course, Atlas Air also operate that aircraft with non-Boeing parts in as well. They also offer that up as a freighter for ad hoc operations if somebody needs a certain amount of stuff moved, like cars or whatever it might be. That Dreamlifter model shouldn't have winglets. Real ones don't. Interesting. Lloyd Bell. Wow. That's because they are based on very old platforms, aren't they? So maybe that's a prototype, perhaps, with a 400. I don't know, because she's obviously got she's got everything old on her. So is there... Lloyd Bell, I'll take you up on that, my friend, and we will have a word with our friends at, I think it's Gemini Jets. Let me just be 100% sure on that. Stand by, because I don't want to... is that a Gemini Jets one, or is it Paul's one? Sorry.
Can't get any closer.
Interesting, because it's manufactured under product license from Boeing themselves. So I'll have a word with Paul on that one. I don't know if anyone can sort of like doubly confirm that, but certainly it's the Boeing 747-400 LCF, which is the converted freighter, I'm guessing. But wow, there you go. That's interesting. Thanks, Lloyd. We will look into that, and I think we should follow up on it for sure. But thank you. And then, of course, we've got one of probably the most versatile obviously the 124, the Antonov AN-124. Cool, that's heavy, man. And that is that's the Ukrainian jet. And this thing here has a nose load, so the nose swings up, which is great because we've seen it. Have we got the AN-124 nose load short video or something, Jill?
The Ruslan, the 124. 225's Maria, 124's Ruslan.
225's Maria, yeah. The big 6-engine one. This is the Ruslan, the AN-124. Did I say something else?
No, you just didn't say it.
Oh, okay. My apologies. Yeah, of course.
To them.
Yeah. Antonov. This is the also has a rear door load facility, so it's absolutely ideal for oversized freight. Generators, big heavy stuff that needs a ramp to get it inside, and it's got an amazing carrying capability as well. Far more than really anything else on the planet at the moment. Of course, poor old Maria, the AN-225, is no longer with us for the time being. So I think really in terms of carrying capability, this thing sort of rules the roost. Although this 747 freighter, the pure all-up freighter, it's got a tremendous amount of carrying capability. But I think the 124 sort of like comes very, very close in terms of the most powerful all-up freighter. So that is really a look at the possibility of there being an A350 freighter conversion. This is obviously something that is not going to happen.
Right. You don't want me to play it?
Oh, what? The
124 short edit.
Yeah. Here we go. The 124 short edit.
Continue, yeah.
If you want to, okay. Yeah. We'll run it. Mega freight. Which one was this? Where was this? Oh wow, yeah, cool. Remember the old? Yeah. Wow. Wow, man. That brings back some memories. Oh, Milan Malpensa. Fracked. Chriso at Fracked. 93-ton boiler. And this isn't the boiler that you're getting. Look at this, man. Comes with its own personnel as well, folks. These guys put everything together. They fly with the aircraft around the world. Nice. Just to get us the cradle for it, isn't it? It's a good edit, isn't it? Wonder who made it. They're filming it all. I wonder who filmed it. Hey? The big old lump, man. That's some right old issues. One little bit was a little bit too big. That's crazy, man. The hoists are unbelievable. All inside the aircraft as well. The hoists. Look at that. Crazy lash. So cool. The lash chains exactly as we expect. Oh yeah, this is where we waited, didn't we, until the... Yeah. Yeah, nice. How about that? Yeah, that was good, man. That was really good. So yeah, we really enjoyed that. I spoke to Chris O the other day from Fract. He doesn't work for them anymore, but it's unfortunate, isn't it? Because they just did a job in Zurich or something like that with the 124, and I messaged him. I said, mate, isn't it a shame, mate? Someone else comes and jumps in your shoes, and it's just gone, isn't it? It's just gone. Because I know that you would have been on the blower, mate. You would have said, bring it on. Let's get yourself out there to Zurich, and we'll cover this one. The Dreamlifter originally had winglets when it was first rolled out of the factory. They must have been removed at a later stage, Lloyd Bell, correcting himself on that one. Fair play, Lloyd. Nice one. So that's the original 747 Dreamlifter out of the factory. So yeah, later ones or whatever it might have been. But in terms of the A380 having a capability of a freight as a passenger freighter conversion, it's not going to happen, folks, because there's too much integrity for the floor. The floor would need to be massively changed, and also I think that the original idea for the freighter, as you can see, the lower deck, the upper deck is so high. I think that the lower deck, the upper deck might have needed to be attached a little bit lower, and so therefore sort of like minimising the. Well, I don't know. Actually, looking at the image, it's sort of like the doors, the front doors, sort of like it's kind of above that front door, isn't it? The L1 door with the L2 door. So I think that possibly, I think the reason why they possibly didn't run it is because of the lack of interest in terms of order books. But in terms of out of the factory, manufactured on the FAL, but with different components and all that sort of stuff, it may have worked right in the beginning. Possibly limited to the amount of weight that it can carry. So obviously used for e-commerce and electrical goods, etc., which can be quite heavy. But yeah, obviously it was decided to they decided to drop the idea and just continue on with the passenger variant, which also caused massive delays and massive problems. Didn't it? Virgin Atlantic not taking it up, obviously, which was a great shame. Well, I think that Mr. Branson was probably like, thank God for that, that we didn't do that, especially when the whole crisis came along and all that malarkey with the big 4-engine jets being sort of like, the owners going, oh my God, what are we going to do now? Bit of a shame. Lots of people love the A380. I love it. I think it's a fantastic aircraft. Feat of engineering, you cannot fault it in terms of its bigness. It's a shame that we can't put the 747. Are you able to bring out the original 747 picture up that's on Boeing's? I don't know if you're able to bring that up, but there is a picture of the model, and there is only one, folks, of the original idea, the prototype model of the 747. Hold on a minute. Scroll. Keep scrolling. Original. Keep going. No, it's going to be way down, I would imagine. Original. What have you put? Original 747 model Boeing Museum or something like that. Model Boeing Museum. We're just trying to bring that up, folks, just to show you. A lot of people, I've talked about this before. Scroll. Yeah, see, that's the no. Keep scrolling. It's just a model. It's a model, isn't it? Boeing model. Just put model in there. Museum model. Hold on a minute.
Oh, the one that looks like the 380.
Yeah.
I just said.
Oh, okay. There it is. There. Watch this, folks. Now look at this. Okay. Oh. Calm down. Take it easy. But this will blow your mind if you haven't seen it before. It's available online, but you kind of have to do a pretty deep search for it. But it is pretty crazy to see the likeness of this 747, the original 747. What's he doing?
He just ran in.
Oh, okay. What, from outside?
Yeah.
But yeah. So what? Stupidly ran in, sort of like,
Yeah.
Okay.
Just a sec.
So this is interesting, folks, because obviously Boeing were first on the drawing board with the double-decker 747. The 747 was originally conceived as a double-decker jet, and the reason why they discontinued the idea of it, much like what with Airbus with the freighter variant. These things are there as like, yeah, we can do it. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, hold on a minute. The problem that arose was, can you bring it up any bigger? Thanks, Reddit, for this, by the way. There we go. Look at that, folks. I mean, I know, okay, the front end of it, etc., etc. But isn't that so much like the A380? Engines a little bit close together. Don't forget, we're talking about back in the 60s here, folks. Long before the original, the final variant came out. But the reason why they dumped the two-decker was because they couldn't get people off in time within 90 seconds. They could not evacuate that aircraft in the 90 seconds, or at least couldn't guarantee that they would be able to. So the FAA probably said, well, you know what? You can try it, but if it doesn't work, you're going to have to redesign it. So they were like, you know what? Oh, let's have a look. So maybe when the designer went home, he was like, hold on a minute. Why don't we make it? Why don't we meet in the middle where we keep that we need the deck, the flight deck up where it is, So to create a fairing behind that, and then sort of like maybe have a hump on it and smooth it out at the back, so that we get it stays aerodynamic and streamlined. And went in the office in the morning. Hey, I got an idea. How about we do this and we do that? Look, right on the board. No. And the 747 was born. Simple as that. And of course, it extended and extended and extended. But how about that? That looks very much like an A380. In fact, it was McDonnell Douglas Schmidty 87 planned a double-decker plane named the MD-12. And there it is. Julie's bringing this up now. We've discussed this before as well. Thank you, Schmidty 87. FAA sounds just like that. Okay. Where was that? Somebody mentioned it anyway. But Schmidty, thank you. MD-12, there it is. McDonnell Douglas, right in that era. I think the MD-12 was a little bit later than the 747 original. According to Google, the Dreamlifter's winglets were removed to resolve excess vibration and other handling characteristics prior to final certification. Lloyd Bell's been going right back at it. Thanks, mate. Appreciate that. Prior to final certification. So maybe a bit of wing flutter, which is what they get on new aircraft. But look at that. The winglet. Look at the winglet on the MD-12. That's obviously long after the 747, the original 747. So McDonnell Douglas went after it, put a split scimitar winglet on it, pulled the engines further apart, and front end looks a bit dodgy, doesn't it? It looks a bit sort of, alien-like. Doesn't really work, but hey, there you go. Never happened. Too much money. The cost was too much. So anyway, just getting back finally to the A380, in terms of its capability of being converted into a freighter, used as a praetor, most definitely, where you can convert the inside of it, rip the seats out. I think a couple of operators did that during the pandemic, where
High Fly did, didn't they?
Yeah, High Fly, rip the seats out and use the cabin for cardboard boxes, which had to be. Do you remember those days, man, at Heathrow, where they had the slides, where they were loading all the boxes and all the boxes were coming off down the slides? They modernised the steps and put like long sort of like just sheets of metal down there, literally, and just slid these boxes. Unbelievable times, man. Unbelievable times. But there you go, folks. That's it. What are we doing? 21:38, is it? 21:38. Hope you've enjoyed tonight's show. Thank you once again, ARD models. If you want any of these models, folks, or any of the airport stuff, go to ARD, Aviation Retail Direct. Thank you to all the folks who've allowed us, well, hopefully they have, the videos that we've played out tonight. Thank you to Simple Flying, amongst all the other folks who we've read their news out as well. And tune in for the next one. But for now, no A380 freighter, my friend. Take care. See you later. Thanks, GP. What are we doing? playing out
to roll titles.
Oh, roll titles. See ya.
See ya.